When I was young, I believed life was simple. My father had money, so I never worried about anything. I did not study much or work at all. I always had whatever I wanted. If I saw something nice, I asked my father, and he bought it for me. My friends told me to think about the future, but I only laughed. Why should I work? Why should I worry? My father had money. My father had money, and I thought that was enough. Every morning I woke up late and had breakfast in bed. I watched TV for hours. Sometimes I went out with friends. We ate in the best restaurants, wore expensive clothes, and drove fast cars. Life felt easy and fun, and I believed it would stay that way forever. I never thought about money or work. When I wanted to travel, I traveled. When I wanted new shoes, I bought them. When I wanted a new phone, I chose the most expensive one. My father paid for everything. I never thought about how hard he worked. I never asked about his business. I only enjoyed my easy life. I lived for today and never thought about tomorrow. One day, my father called me. He looked serious and asked me to sit down. I smiled, but he did not smile back. He told me that I was not a child anymore and that I needed to think about my future. I laughed and told him I already had everything I needed. He shook his head and said that I only had everything because he worked hard. Life, he said, is not always easy, and one day things could change. I did not understand him. I thought he was worrying for no reason, so I told him not to worry. He only looked at me and said, "We will see." I thought he was in a bad mood and I left the room. I did not think about his words. Instead, I went out with my friends, laughed, and spent money. I did not know my life was about to change. The next morning, I woke up late, just like always. I saw messages from my friends and got ready to go out. I put on my best clothes, sprayed expensive perfume, and walked downstairs. But my father was waiting for me in the living room. His face was serious again. He asked me to sit down. I told him I had plans, but he didn't care. He said I needed to learn about life. I rolled my eyes and told him I already understood life. Again, he shook his head. Then he told me to follow him. I didn't know what was happening, but I followed him outside to his car. He didn't speak as he drove. I looked out the window, confused. The city looked different that morning. I saw people walking quickly, workers cleaning the streets, and men selling food. I never really noticed these things before. After some time, my father stopped the car in a part of the city I had never visited. The buildings were old, the streets were dirty, and the people looked tired. My father pointed at a man selling fruit. He told me the man woke up at dawn, worked all day, and never complained because he needed to feed his family. Then he took me to a small shop where an old woman was sewing clothes. She had been working for 40 years and still worked every day, even though she didn't have much money. I watched her sew without stopping. I had never thought about people like her before. My father asked if I understood. He said life was not easy for everyone and that I had never worked even one day. For the first time, I felt something strange inside me. I felt small. I felt different. We returned to the car and drove to my father's office. The office was busy and loud. People were walking fast, answering phones and writing papers. My father took me into his office and asked if I knew what he did every day. I said he worked, but I never thought about how hard he worked. He explained his long days, big decisions, and many problems. He said he did everything for me. I looked around and saw tired workers, stressed workers, people doing their best. I had never thought about how the money I spent so easily was earned. A heavy feeling grew inside me. It was guilt. Then my father handed me a small notebook. He told me that starting tomorrow, I would work in his company. I laughed because it sounded impossible, but he was serious. He said I would start from the bottom and learn everything. I told him I didn't need to work, but he said I did, because one day he would not be here, and I needed to know how to live. I had never imagined a life without my father. I had never thought about the future at all. But now, I had no choice. My life would change the next day. The following morning, I woke up early for the first time in my life. It felt strange, but I had to work. The next morning, I got dressed and went downstairs. My father was already waiting and handed me a small bag. "Your lunch," he said. I looked at him in surprise. "Lunch? Can't I eat at a restaurant?" I asked. He shook his head. "Workers bring their own lunch, and today you are a worker." We drove to his office. Instead of taking me to his big office, he brought me to a small room with many desks. People were working quietly at their computers. A man with glasses came to us. "This is Mr. William," my father said. "You will work under him." Then my father left. Mr. William looked at me and said, "Come with me." He walked quickly, and I followed. He gave me a chair and a small desk, then handed me a big stack of papers. "Check these numbers," he said. "Find mistakes. Mark them." I stared at the pile. "All of them?" I asked. He nodded. "Yes, and work fast." I sat down and started. At first it seemed easy, but after an hour my head hurt. The numbers looked the same and my eyes were tired. I wanted to stop, but I couldn't. Everyone else was working, no one rested or talked. This was different. This was real work. By lunchtime, I was exhausted. I opened my simple lunch and ate quietly. No fancy food, no expensive drinks. The other workers ate quickly and returned to work. I watched them and felt something new: respect. These people worked hard every day, and now I was one of them. The afternoon was even harder. My back hurt from sitting, my hands were tired from writing. I wanted to stop, but I kept going. Mr. William checked my work and found mistakes. "Do it again," he said. I sighed but didn't argue. I nodded and worked harder. When the day finally ended, I felt different. I was tired, but I understood something important for the first time: how hard people worked and that money did not come easily. My father was waiting outside. He didn't ask about my day. He just smiled, and for the first time I smiled back. Not because life was easy, but because I had earned it. The next day I woke up early again. My body ached, my hands were stiff. I wanted to stay in bed, but I couldn't. I had work to do. My father nodded at me as I left. "Good," he said. I felt proud just from that small word. At the office, Mr. William was waiting. "You were slow yesterday. Work faster today," he said. I didn't argue. I sat down and started again. The papers were waiting. The numbers were waiting. My head still hurt, my back ached, but I worked. By noon, I finished my task. Mr. William checked it. "Better," he said. Just one word, but it felt amazing. It felt better than buying something expensive or laughing with friends. It felt real. During lunch, I sat with the other workers. They talked about their families, their problems, and laughed. They ate quickly and returned to work. I listened and realized I had never thought about people like them before. I was one of them now. The afternoon was hard. Mr. William gave me more work. I wanted to complain, but I didn't. I focused and worked. Hours passed, my back hurt, my hands ached, but I kept going. I wanted to prove to myself that I could do this. At the end of the day, Mr. Williams said, "Not bad." Just 2 words, but they meant a lot. I nodded and left. My father was waiting outside. "Tired?" he asked. I nodded. He smiled. He said, "I understood why he made me do this. For the first time, I didn't want to run away from work. I wanted to learn more." Days passed, then weeks, then months. I worked every day. At first, it was hard. My body ached, my mind was tired. But slowly I improved. I made fewer mistakes, worked faster. Mr. Williams still did not smile much, but sometimes he said, "Good job." Those words felt better than any gift I had ever received. I began to understand money. Before, I only spent it. Now I saw how hard it was to earn. I watched my father work, saw him make big decisions, solve problems, take care of the company. I finally respected his work. He was not just a man with money, he was a man who built something with his own hands. One evening, my father called me to his office. He looked at me and said, "You have changed." I didn't know what to say. At first, you were lazy. You didn't care about work. But now you understand. I nodded. He took out a small key and handed it to me. "This is your office," he said. I was shocked. "My office?" He nodded. "You are ready for more responsibility. You have worked hard. Now it is time to take the next step." I held the key. It was small but heavy. It was not just a key, it was trust. The next day, I moved to my new office. It was small, but it was mine. My own desk, my own chair, my own work. I was no longer just a worker. I was learning to lead. It was not easy. I made mistakes, I had bad days, but I did not give up. I kept working and learning. I wanted to be like my father. I wanted to build something of my own. Looking back, I laugh at my old self. I thought life was easy and money was simple, but I was wrong. Life is work. Life is effort. Life is building something with your own hands. My father taught me that. Now I am ready for the future, not because I have money, but because I have learned how to earn it.